Thank you. Cool.
Oh shit. What is up, peoples of YouTubes? I am the Motorcycle Mick, your local motorcycle psychologist, giving you life advice, and you guys seemed to like it last time, and I am back to give you more great advice. We are doing another 10 things video. You guys seem to like those, and I like making them too. They're actually really fun. They get me thinking, make me really plan out without planning a video. So I have some organization with this organization. I love it. But if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. Be sure to hit that bell icon. Ding ling. I upload every Tuesday and Thursday around 3 o'clock. Sometimes I suck at life and I'm a little bit behind. It's okay though. I still love you and you still love me. Today, I am back with more motorcycle life advice, and this one pertains to those who may have performance issues. And I'm not talking about the purple pill. I'm talking about a slower motorcycle. So we are doing 10 ways. That's right, 10 ways to make your scooter go faster. Just like my last video though, these are just my personal opinions. These are blatant things everyone knows, but for those who are new to riding or veterans haven't ever done it, this is for you. So for your pleasure, let's kick it off with number 1. The first one's always the easiest. This is the most well-known, maybe most cost-effective. I'm not 100% sure. The way you can get more power to your motorcycle is by doing the stage kit on it. A stage kit, like my bike, has a stage 1 where they put a bigger air cleaner, which mine already came with, but a high flow air cleaner. It has 4 ways on for it. Better exhaust on it, so it can be either slip-ons or full exhaust, and it's got a tuner. A tuner is key. Add more air, put fuel out to the mixture, the more exhaust coming out in the system. Number 2, going along with number 1, is getting your bike dyno tuned. A lot of places have canned map. Basically, they take a general map and type it into the computer for whatever reason, and then they save it on a cloud to where everyone can access it. It's for one bike that's been mass-produced. For me, like for this bike, it has a canned map from Harley on it, which means that my bike is not getting as much power as it could, and this bike does need a tune. I've talked about that before, and dyno tuning is the way to do it. Once you have that tuner on there, you can street tune it and use auto tuning all you want, but to take it into a shop and have them put it on the dyno, run all the probes of the pipes, run all the information off the bike, monitor the tables, that's what they're going to do, and it's well worth the money because you're going to get that performance because they're going to put your engine at peak where it's the best running it can be and power, but you will lose fuel economy, but it'll give you a better burn. That's what they're going for. Number 3. If that doesn't do it for you, then the way I can tell you to add more power to your bike too is the cam. Your camshaft is what operates your push rod. They're the pieces of metal coming up the side of the motor that are operating your valves. And what that does is, based on the lobe, it looks like a bunch of little eggs on a shaft. And as they spin, they lift the rod using the lifters, open your valves and close your valves. But when you put a camshaft in your motorcycle, you can adjust the way your motor operates with more intake, more exhaust. But that being said, you don't want to put a cam that's too big for your bike. You want to actually get advice on there, look on the forums, get involved with the moto community. You really want to look at what's best for your motorcycle. Along with that, you already have a tuner. Tune the bike for once you change the lobes, once you change the lift, the timing, everything like that can go into changing a cam for your bike. That's where you're going to get power, that's where you're going to get torque, and that's kind of the step above dyno tuning, and it's a cheaper way versus what's holding for the future of this list. And those can get a bit pricey. Lots of money. Number 4. Number 4 is actually pretty straightforward, and it's one that a lot of people don't really think about. Putting tires on the bike that allow power to go to the ground will help your bike be faster. Yeah, that's right. You can put different tires and put more power to the ground based on how sticky they are. The tires that are on this bike aren't made for super stick. When I was on the drag strip, I could lose traction because they're a pretty hard tire. They're not softer. They aren't intended for being on a drag strip. They're not intended for a ridiculous amount of stick to the ground. They're intended to be in contact and provide some sticking. The intended purpose is all weather, whether it's raining or whether wind, sunshine. They're meant for it to be all around useful, even maybe a little bit with snow. Well, if you want to get something that's going to help you put more power, get a little bit more speed out of your bike, you go with the stickier tire. I don't want to give you guys any advice on this. All these things I'm talking about, I want you guys to comment down below. Tell people, talk to people. 5. Number 5 goes along with Number 4, suspension. Most people don't really think about it. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, it's just what goes up and down, how comfy I am. Suspension puts a big difference into how your tires contact the ground. Now, with this bike, it comes with inverted piston suit suspension. I think I'm saying that right. What that does is a performance-oriented suspension so that it keeps more contact with the ground. So when I'm going back and forth, I get contact on all sides. It's helping apply better pressure to the ground. And if you have a very stiff suspension and it doesn't really absorb much, you kind of want that happy medium, because you don't want super stiff. Every time you hit a bump, it's just going to bounce. That's the way it works. It's going to go boom, it's going to bounce, because the ground is not all smooth. I live in Michigan. All the ground is not smooth. It's not perfect roads. I wish it was, but unfortunately it is not. That isn't working out for you? Well, we can definitely talk about number 6. Number 6 is one that's a little bit drastic, and you could really put it in different orders depending on what you're trying to do for the bike. But for me, number 6 is going to be the transmission. Transmission is a big deal. I want to get over. We're going over here. And we're gonna go this way. A transmission is a way you can get your bike to go faster. Some older 5-speeds just don't have the ability to put the power to the ground like it needs to be. Well, your transmission is what really controls your gear ratios. It controls your final drive, where you're gonna get that power. And between that and the clutch, if you aren't doing it properly, you're still learning, you're not gonna really get that speed like you want it to be. But if you're experienced and you're getting that, you might need to go to a bigger transmission. And going from a 5-speed to a 6-speed is often does people well. You get that extra gear, you get the different gear ratio, the final drives. Oh, look at that. That is a beautiful Volkswagen. You can also get your transmission re-geared, but that's just a lot of work for such a little outcome. So it's honestly just easier to pay the money, get a transmission, put in the bike, maybe something bigger. That being said, that transmission's not doing it for you. You can go to number 7. It's a big bore kit. So you haven't quite stepped up to wanting to put big motor into your motorcycle, but you maybe want to go a little bit bigger. Like for my bike, I have a 114, which for me, I mean, this is already a performance-oriented motor. You can put a big bore kit on your motorcycle, and what that is it's going to take the jugs off of the bike and take the pistons out, maybe even change the crank. What it's going to do is put more displacement to your motor. For my example, with my bike, I would go from a 114 to a 117. The money that I would have to take to spend on this thing, put out that kind of power, which really isn't much difference. I mean, for me to go from a 114 to 117, I'm looking at 3 to 4 pounds of torque and maybe a couple of horsepower, so I'm not about to pay $4 grand to have that done. If you're going to put a big bore kit on your bike, make sure it's within the limits of what the case can hold, and also make sure it's within the limits of what the transmission can handle. Can we talk about that for a second? Why is it called a motorcycle when motors are electric and engines are gas? So shouldn't it technically be an engine cycle? But let's say you tried that big bore kit and it wasn't doing it for you. You got 8. You want to put a bigger motor in your bike, or that 1000cc, go from that 600 to 1000, or you want to go from a 300 to a 600. You want to do that, and you can. So all you have to do is swap in a new motor, and this often is pretty damn expensive to do. To me, honestly, at that point, and we'll get into that one later, you are going to take the time to have your motor pulled out and put in a new one. First, you want to make sure the frame can handle it. Don't be going off and buying a big motor if it's not going to fit in your frame or going to require drastic changes. You don't want to spend that time and money waiting for a motor to come in that you paid for, and then finding it doesn't fit in your bike, it doesn't mate up to your transmission. When you get into a bigger motor, you really have to change out the transmission you just put in too. It might have a way to mate up, it might have other ways to do it. You really don't want to have to deal with that, trying to get a refund or trying to find a different bike or trying to sell it to someone. Maybe there's no money back. Maybe you bought the engine secondhand and you don't have the ability to sell it off by yourself or trying to find a buyer. Maybe difficult, maybe easy, because they don't, if you're buying it used, they don't really know what that motor's been through. You don't know what that motor's been through. You don't know what that motor's been through. Make sure you know the history of it, and if you don't, and it's not tracked with paperwork to the bin, honestly, it'd be better off just buying yourself a brand new motor. But also be careful, you don't want to have too much power in a bike that can't handle it. Number 9. We are at number 9. And we are almost to that point in this list. Unfortunately, I don't want to. I like our time together. Number 9 is making sure you maintain your motorcycle. This could have been back to number 1, but for those who have stuck around and paid attention, the way to make your bike faster is to keep it well maintained, and also to check your spark plugs, because your bike is losing power. Your spark plugs could be dirty, and your spark plugs is where you get your ignition for your fuel, and you get your detonation, and that's where you get your power. I mean, I always hear things about E3, not that it makes a big difference and that's gonna add so much more power. No, what it is This probably allows for a more full of burn, so you get better power out of it in that way. Right, make sure you maintain your bike. Make sure you're running the right oil. Make sure you're running the right spark plug wires. I mean, that's the easiest way. Wow, dude, you are just sitting right there and I need to get the fuck over. You can be a dick. Whatever you do to it, make sure it's maintained. You can do all these things, and most of the time when you look at these way these things upgrade and the list I gave you, everything in the back probably is going to change because your needs for the bike are going to change based on the power you have for it. And let's say you tried everything else on this list and it just was not fast enough for you. You tried to do the upgrade, you tried to do all the work, but it wasn't working out for you. You didn't like it. You wanted more power and everything is not working in your favor and you're getting pissed off. Well, there is number 10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Get a new damn bike. If your bike isn't fast enough and you tried all these different things and you've built it, you're gonna sit there chasing your tail, spending all this extra money on stuff that isn't gonna get you where you want to be. If you're on a Harley and you can't go fast enough on a Harley, get a freaking sport bike. If you're on a sport bike and you aren't getting the torque you want out of it, get a cruiser. The cruisers are known for torque, sport bikes are known for horsepower. It's just the way it is and you have to accept it. If you are not getting the power that you really want out of your motorcycle, get a damn different one. That is gonna be the best thing I can tell you. That's right, I spend $6 and I get weekly groceries. I'm a sad person. But when it comes down to it, you just want to make sure that your bike is as powerful as you want it to be. Don't sit there and be shamed because they say your bike's the slowest, because that's just going to get you to spend more money, and really what riding is about is enjoying yourself. But if you are looking for power, this list I just gave you is a great way to get it, and it's in steps, so you can actually go through and figure out which step you want to take. I mean, some people jump heavy steps, some people do other things, but for me personally, I'm just take it one step at a time. You know, that's all things for the future, and I do offer a 138 for this bike. But since I'm sitting here stuck in a traffic jam, I'm going to end it there for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate the feedback, and I really hope to start like a dialogue down in the comment section about some of these parts, some things that can help people get bigger, better, faster, whatever. But as always, guys, I hope you have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon tea, brunch, lunch, nightcap, midnight snack, and remember to always ride for freedom.
Hey, no, this shit is old school. They say I'm not supposed to, but I make my own rules. Dawg, this shit is old school. Yo, bitch, man, that's old news. She been on my whole crew. Yeah, that chick is ran through. Ha. This shit sound like old tool. Pull up and I drop the roof, and that bitch a old school. These niggas acting brand new. I just keep it old.